Welcome to Terrific Talk. My name is Tom Anderson. Tom Anderson.
Play to win the game.
Gone.
Tom Anderson.
Great cash, homie. Great cash, homie.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the hoe.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. We're taping this podcast on a Thursday afternoon, just 3 days ahead of the Super Bowl. I'm really excited for today's podcast. My guest is Jay Harris. He's had a wonderful career in journalism, which we're going to get into a lot in this podcast. And, of course, a lot of you nationally know Jay as an anchor on SportsCenter on ESPN. He's one of the very best and someone I can't wait to talk to. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Jay, welcome to Terrific Talk.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. First off, got to ask, who you got in the Super Bowl?
Well, oddly enough, I picked these two teams at the beginning of the season. And
I saw that.
I picked Seattle, Denver, Seattle. So I'm sticking with my original pick, Seattle.
Sticking with Seattle. I'm going Seattle, too. Denver's favored by 2.5 points. Can you make sense of this? I don't get it. I feel like Seattle's a better team.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. I mean, whatever he's done this season, everything he's touched has turned to gold. I mean, he is Peyton Manning. I'm not surprised. Plus, if you look back over the last 6 games, Seattle's defense has been there. The offense really hasn't been. So Vegas may be leaning recent as opposed to what a lot of us think is overall, like Seattle being the overall better team.
Well, I read that when you were in, like, the 11th grade, you kind of looked down at this piece of paper and it said journalist on it, and that's when you kind of decided that that was the field you wanted to go into. Is that true?
Well, it was one of those career assessment tests.
Yep.
And I scored well in the area of interpersonal skills. And under interpersonal skills, there was a list of occupations, and I think journalist was number 3. And I said, okay, that's what I'll do. That's kind of how it started.
You said that Peter Jennings and Brian Gumbel are two of the biggest influences on you. What do you like about their styles?
Wow. I'll start with Peter, rest his soul. He could just do anything. I mean, breaking news, at ease on the air, interviews on the spot, is like he knew everything about everything. Kind of reminds me of my colleague Bob Lee, who I swear knows everything about everything, and it shows on the air. And Bryant, he was just, and he still is, just asks the right question. Even his why. Why is a great question, but a lot of people don't ask. So their styles, they're very simple, old school journalists, and I kind of like that.
So you ended up going to Old Dominion. What drew you to go there?
Well, my parents were divorced, and I grew up with my mom in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and my dad lived in Norfolk. So I decided to go hang out with my dad. And that's my story. And I liked Old Dominion. I was just comfortable with me. It kind of felt like my high school, and that's what I decided.
Did you do any internships while you were at Old Dominion?
I did. I worked at the campus radio station at WODU, and I did an internship at the NBC affiliate, WAVY Wavy TV10. I didn't do more. I should have done more. I tell kids now to do as many as possible, but that's all I did.
What advice do you have for aspiring journalists?
Learn to write. Learn to ask good, open-ended questions. Don't ask yes or no questions. Persevere. It's not easy getting into this field. It's not easy staying in this field. When in the beginning, I quit. I was done. I was tired of getting rejection letters. I should have gotten rejection letters because I was just starting and I wasn't any good. But I decided I was going to go to grad school, and I couldn't do that either because they didn't want me either. So I said, well, I might as well just keep trying, and it kind of worked. And I also tell them to network. That's how I got my first job at a little AM radio station, WRAP in Portsmouth, Virginia. The news director at that time, his name was Don Roberts. He's anchor at Wavy right now. I met him in college, and I called him up and I said, you know me, and I want to do what you do. Can you help me out? He said, I can give you plenty of work, but I can't can't pay you any money. So I went the free route, and I worked for like 3 months free. I took the experience, which is foreign to a lot of young folks today who want to come out of college making cash.
Right.
Sometimes you can't. You have to take the experience. I was fortunate. I could live in my dad's house. Didn't have a lot of overhead, just my one suit and 2 ties.
Nice.
And I went to work.
Wow. I read you worked as a weeknight news anchor for many years up in Pittsburgh. What was that experience like for you in Pittsburgh?
Well, I love Pittsburgh. I'd say Pittsburgh is where I grew up professionally. I started in radio, local radio, and transitioned into national radio, then the Sheridan Broadcasting Network, now American Urban Radio Networks, the largest African-American radio network in the country. And it just gave me a lot of good experience. It kind of fit my heart for activism because I love doing community-type stories. I love telling those stories and going places that a lot of folks just would not go. I mean, I didn't care. I would go into the neighborhood and talk to whoever. It didn't matter to me. To me, they were a person with a potential story. So Pittsburgh gave me an opportunity to make mistakes and to grow and to do a little part-time TV and eventually transition into full-time TV.
And then at some point you decided to send a tape to one of your friends at ESPN. Why did that decision happen?
Because I trusted his eye. I wanted his critique on my air check. I had sent it out to a few places. I got a couple of nibbles, but I wasn't satisfied. I thought I should be getting a few more nibbles, and he looked at it, showed it to some folks here, and they liked it, and they wanted to bring me in for an audition, which I thought was kind of odd because, I was a news guy, and this is the worldwide leader in sports. But what I tell kids today, and what I didn't realize at the time, is that, yeah, it's sports, but it's still journalism. You're still telling stories about people. These people just happen to play games and play for teams as opposed to sit on a school board or city council or be the governor or the president. It's still a story about a person when you break it down. And you still have to write it. You still have to talk to them. And it's pretty much the same thing. You still have to communicate. And this job it was the best decision because I've gotten to do so many things and talk to so many people that would never have happened. It just happened to be in sports, and I was always a sports fan.
Yeah.
So there's a bonus there.
So you mentioned you get the call from ESPN to come in and audition. What's the audition like? Are you nervous? You got to be nervous, right?
Actually, no. If I remember correctly, it'll be 11 years this weekend. I'm trying to remember.
Oh wow.
I don't think I was nervous. Actually, the producer who did my audition, she's way on the other side. I'm not going to go talk to her now and ask her. But the thing we do here, we write our own stuff. So they gave me a brief rundown and stories to write. And once you're comfortable with your own voice, I mean, how can you be nervous? I wrote this. I know what I want to say, so I just have to say it. And I did some highlights. I've never done a highlight before. I just had fun with it because I can be kind of goofy when I want to. I like to laugh, and I just had fun with it. And they seemed to like it because they wanted me to stay here.
Oh, that's awesome. So can you take us through kind of what the average day is like for you now, from the time you wake up to the day's over on a typical day you're working?
Well, I wake up in the morning. More often than not to an 8-year-old going, "Good morning, Daddy." Nice. and the 15-year-old going, So I try to take them to school. Although this week my wife has been on school duty, so I can get a little extra sleep because I work so late.
Nice.
Then we hang out, do schoolwork. You know the honey-do list, man. You know how it is. And I come to work when I do the 11 o'clock show. I come to work and we have a 5 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
Where we discuss what's been happening during the day, what's coming up at night, how we want to treat things, how we want to forward the story, how we want to, like last night. By the time we came on, everyone knew that the Thunder had beaten the Heat.
Right.
So it was our job to tell more so how, as opposed to what happened, because everyone knew what happened. So we needed to break down how it happened. So thinking like that. So after our meeting, the producer, we go up into the newsroom, and the producer throws it all into the computer, creates a rundown, and then we write. My co-anchor last night and tonight, John Butcher-Gross, we sit at our computers and we write. And we write some more and talk to the researchers who give us the cool stats that make us sound smart.
Nice.
And to the production assistants who cut the highlights. And coordinating producer reads everything we do and goes, hey, do you think you could spice this up a little bit? Or, hey, I got a little nugget that might fit that. Or, hey, this is a great script. It really is a team. It's a collaboration. And then we go get some makeup, which is the best part of the day, by the way.
I bet.
That 10 minutes just to chill in the chair is absolutely phenomenal.
Interesting.
And then we go on TV and we just act silly for 2 hours and do a show.
It's great. Now you can definitely tell you guys are having fun when you're doing the show. How many people are on this team, including all the production assistants and researchers? About how many people for this one show?
Well, it varies. Let's see how many people were in our meeting last night. Maybe 15.
Yeah.
Maybe 16. It just depends. Sometimes we have more bodies. Sometimes we're shorthanded.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any broadcast organization, we have to deal with that. But that's pretty much the average, I believe.
Okay, well, the ESPN commercials, the SportsCenter commercials, you're in a bunch of amazing ones. My favorite of yours is definitely the going up when you're getting on the elevator with the Devils mascot. I was just wondering, who came up with that specific idea, and how does that work? Are you contributing to the idea? Did they ask you to come be in it? How does that whole thing work?
No, that's White and Kennedy. They do that.
Huh.
They're the smart folks, and they get a feel. After you've done a few, they kind of get a feel for who can do or who they would like to do what, and they give us a script, and they go, here, do it, and then they direct us through it. And I think we're all kind of closet actors.
Yeah.
We really enjoy it, and the athletes really love it. And we just kind of make it happen. I know that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. We just do it, and they come out hilarious.
Oh, they're the best. They're so funny. You got a cool story. One time you were anchoring SportsCenter. It was your birthday, and NBA Hall of Famer Bill Walton comes out with a cake singing happy birthday to you. I knew you grew up a Celtics fan. That must have been amazing. Did you know he was coming out? What was that like? I mean, that must have been crazy.
I didn't know he was coming out. That was after we had gone through this period of, you go through focus groups and they try to teach you different things about it. Let's relate to the audience better and blah, 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 and kind of change the way we deliver things and be more human on TV instead of, we're talking sports. We're not talking death and destruction, and we're not. Yeah. So that was when we started trying to be a little bit more loose. And he knew it was my birthday because it's also Dr. J's birthday.
Awesome.
Which I used to love to say growing up.
Yeah, not bad.
Birthday.
I'm born on the 4th of July, so I got Uncle Sam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And George Steinbrenner. That's who I would say.
Even nicer. So yeah, man, he came in. Brian Kenny we were doing the show together, and it was just amazing. It was great. I still have it on DVD at home. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. Any other really great, memorable moments that you've had on the show? I'm sure you've had a ton.
Yeah, I have. And they're all a blur right now. I apologize. You know what? The most memorable moment, and I have this one kind of over and over. I'm standing in the studio about to do something, and I'll look up, and I'll see the word SportsCenter, and I go, wow, this is really cool. I'm doing this show. It's a blessing. This is the coolest. So that's my moment.
I follow you on Twitter and on Instagram, and I see it's really cool how you do your little videos, right before SportsCenter, like this is what we're doing. And it's funny, you're always telling the other anchor to say hi, and they seem like they're always like busy doing something else. How fun is that, just posting these little videos for people?
It's all a plot to make me look good. No, no, it's you know what? The whole social media thing is just another outlet to get our personalities out there and to have some fun. So I'm trying to do a little bit better with that.
No, you're a good follow. I really want to thank you for coming on today and spending some time with me. Really appreciate it. Everybody should definitely follow Jay on ESPN, of course. Check out his Twitter, @JHarrisESPN's his handle. Jay, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.